Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Pull Up Trey. I, myself, namesake, Trey, who pulls up and talks to the number one writer
Oh, brother.
in all of Raptors land, the illustrious, talented Samson Folk. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Does that mean that I'm not giving you enough gas on that when I introduce it on the other side that I don't have all these, what's superlatives for you?
I think we're both just speaking truths. I just see the talent that you have. It's hard to ignore.
All right, you're giving the science to the listeners? Is that that's what I'm hearing?
Have to.
All right, what's on the docket for today's show, sir?
All right. Of course, we got to talk about that a tough game yesterday with the Lakers, and just like many of the Raptors' losses, the other team broke out some zone defense. So we're gonna touch a bit on that. There's also been some rumors about Sabonis and John Morant, and it looks like the Raptors want to do something really big. We're 8 games away from the deadline, which just seems like insane to me. It feels like the season just started.
hmm
We're also, to many people's chagrin, or um, Jamal Shead has started a few games, and we've got to kind of see that concept of what the Raptors and other fans have been looking for. So we'll talk about that in the inverse of when Quickley plays. And lastly, we'll also talk about Colin Murray Boyles and his injury. Can the Raptors truly survive with no bigs on the roster? But first, Sam, what are your thoughts on the Laker game?
Okay, so it really did matter losing CMB. It felt
Yes.
like the wheels fell off the truck right after that, and it was the Raptors are just not resilient enough, I think, as an offensive creating team. We'll get
Yes.
into some of why that is the case, but where Luka, for all the warts that exist in his game, a lot of them on defense and maybe being a bit too much holds the too much of the keys on offense, he is a guy who will just keep churning, creating, churning, creating, churning, creating.
Mhm.
And the Raptors, despite and it's what we talked about at the start of the season, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but the talent level requires it. Guys
Yeah.
stepping in and stepping out. The Raptors, they're missing a lot of guys right now, and they can't supplement their guys with additional creation. And so what you get is Ingram and Scotty looking quite exposed as creators and limited.
Mhm.
One guy a little bit more in I guess, how bereft he may be in the options he creates as a playmaker, but is limitless in the types of shots he can make. And the other guy a little bit more limited in what he can create with his own dribble and his live shooting. So it just seemed like the Raptors, they were fine enough defensively for a large part of the game. Just offensively, I don't think they have the juice right now. And that is the story of that game for me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think what you see from this game, one, the Raptors still don't have answer to zone defense, which we'll talk about in a second, which is just insane. Um, just because when you see teams bust out zone defense, it feels like a last resort. You can't stop the ball. You need to muck up the game and save you 5 possessions. Hopefully, you funk up the game enough to bring a lead a bit closer. But it has been at times like a go-to opposition for the Raptors, which has been extremely tough. And the difference in shot making talent, the Raptors were in that game for basically 3 quarters, and the Lakers opened up that lead because of shot making. You have for every three that the Lakers hit or open shot created from Luka Doncic, it felt incredibly hard for the Raptors to muster up multiple possessions where they get efficient shots because you're at a spot where you have guys that are probably your best shooters are shooting probably underneath their talent level. If you told me Emmanuel Quickley was going to shoot under 36%, I would say things went very, very, very bad, which maybe they have.
Is
And
that
and
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
and Grady is obviously their next best shooter or the one that plays the most minutes, and his shooting season just has been abysmal. And you have like any team like Rory Hachimura hitting a couple threes, LeBron hitting a couple threes, that just extends your lead, and the Raptors just don't have the talent to muster up enough possessions to keep up with a team that's shooting hot within a quarter.
So before we get started on anything else, I do have to say we did the shirt raffle. I'll show it right away on screen. You know the vibes, and the B is a 6. You have won the shirt. I see you've commented quite a bit on the YouTube channel, so you're probably going to watch this episode. samsonfolk@gmail.com. Email me, and we'll get this shirt sent out to you. I'll be showing it on screen right away for everyone to see as Trey takes us into all of the rest.
So I think the common that is awesome. That is awesome PR. That is crazy. I think the common issue that the Raptors have had in many of these games, even in the Clipper game, where they actually did have a good offensive, they did have some good offensive like stretches within that game.
Mm-hmm.
Teams have been able to use zone defense as a wrench to slow the Raptors down, to slow down the pace, and force them to hit shots in the half court. Why do you think the Raptors have struggled so much trying to beat a high school defense?
Yeah. So it's a great point you make about it being a high school defense, because if you score over a point per possession in against man in the NBA this year, you're a top 10 offense against man. If you score over a point per possession against zone, you could still be the 18th best offense against zone. It's teams score better against zone
Yeah.
on average. The Raptors, though, are the second worst in the NBA when it comes to scoring against zone. They face it the 6th most often. They used to be around middle of the pack, but there was, I think, after the Miami game, a lot of teams saw that throwing zone at the Raptors would slow them down a decent amount. They are in a terrible spot. They shoot 37% from the field against zone, 48% on twos, which is not terrible, but it's the 26% from downtown. And I hate to be reductive, but for a team that is, I believe, the 3rd worst spot up team in the NBA, it's easy to see why that tracks immediately to why they are having trouble busting zone. You can draw up some stuff. Like we've made this point before, that the Raptors had a play for their own zone offense last year that actually was taken by the Pacers and helped them unlock zone on the way to the finals. The major difference being the players enacting that offense. So I maybe in an episode in the future, we'll get to kind of try and dissect something. But largely, I think this is a problem of shot making. And then secondly, I would be like, well, maybe they can be a little bit more focused as they navigate the middle. But when you shoot 26% from 3, it's easy for the analysis to go one way.
Yeah. The shot making is the biggest part. The Raptors have just undersold towards their shooting talent, at least from their best shooters. And they're just not a team that can dribble the ball at a high level, especially through like tight areas. BI has been very turnover prone, especially when seeing doubles and being in traffic, and teams have really focused and emphasizing and throwing bodies at him whenever he's coming off the catch. And I don't think Scotty has gotten to a level where you can throw him the ball and ask him to break down a defense and be able to get middle. Like RJ probably has the most success through like cuts and weaving through their defense, but he obviously hasn't been in the lineup quite a lot this season. When teams throw out zone, I think our top guys have just been overextended in what they actually can do, and the only way that they're going to be able to bust through zones is them being able to punish teams from 3 who don't respect their shooters. So ideally we get some positive regression from guys that have shot well for years.
Yeah, I think even past that, zone does a really good job of decentering major offensive initiators, because it can end up sometimes being that like one guy is breaking a zone. Sometimes if you have a really good ball handler who's also an elite pull-up threat, you'll run cross screens at the top and let them play it like a variation of the pick and roll and just bomb away from downtown. But the Raptors don't really have that. And or at least Quickley, you saw him do it actually against the Lakers. He had the one make where it was just like, hey, the ball's going up. But he hasn't been able to do it with enough regularity to kind of just be like a zone buster onto himself. Their shooters do not bust the zone, and so they get to move the ball out of guys' hands, and you get a lot of like ping, ping, ping around the break or above the break, and the ball doesn't go anywhere, and then they're probably shooting worse threes, which is why it's 26%. It's just, I don't know, the inside the zone struggles exist a bunch of other offensive struggles, some of which we've touched on over the course of the season, but it's a tough deal. Zone
Yeah.
defense. I mean, we've played zone defense in like in pickup or something like that, and you're just like,
Oh,
damn, we can't get a
you
bucket.
can't. What?
Curly's the shooter. We're like, please, for
Please
the
hit a
love of
shot.
God, we need this to go up, please.
When I see someone play zone defense and pick up basketball, like you came to this weekend, you have your day off, and you decide to grab the clipboard and say, "Let's make this the least amount of fun possible," and not defend and be a man. It is absolutely insane to me that people choose their free time to play zone defense. But
On the sideline, like, okay, guys, here's what we're running. Here's what we're doing.
no, Brody League has damaged the society, man.
I think
Uh,
media day for pickup basketball. Ah, man, I don't know.
Tough seed. I'll stay on the offense. One thing we've also seen for a bit of a stretch now with Quickley's injuries, we got to see a different point guard lead the offense. Jamal Shead had a very good game against the Clippers. Although they didn't win, you saw something a bit different in how they played and approached the game. What are your thoughts on Jamal in the starting lineup and how the offense did?
Well, the big thing is I got a critique, and I think one that makes some sense, but also I'd
Mhm.
push back on was because I gave Jamal an A+ for his mid-season grade, and I'll say largely because I guess for me, I have a reputation of doubting Jamal Shed, so he is doing better than my expectations, and I'm giving up
Mhm.
the grade. And it's easy to look at his true shooting percentage and be like, how does this guy do it? And also was brought up that he's doing it against bench lineups. All
Yeah.
of that does make sense. But Jamal Shed has also won minutes playing against starters when he subbed in. That matters. And he is a bench player. If he beats other
Yeah.
benches, God bless,
It's
man.
his job.
I'm glad to see it. The thing is though, that true shooting percentage, I'm very excited to see how Jamal Shed navigates the playoffs and
Mhm.
what that looks like. And especially once there's no longer, kind of like a uniform or rote pick and roll coverage where teams go over, they go under on them. I'm very interested to see that. But largely, I think similar to Davion Mitchell last year, the willingness to get off the ball, and you can tell he I talked to Tyronn Lue about this, about, the soft skills of point guarding and how, like wings just don't have it. They don't grow up with it.
Yeah.
And maybe once in a blue moon, a wing does have that, LeBron James. But a lot of guards are just better at facilitating, organizing, and playing for the other four guys on the court. And Jamal, I think, embodies that more so than anybody else on the roster. And it is that willingness to kind of like put other guys in positions, get off the ball, even if it's not the best for his own scoring game, but it's the best for theirs. That the ball seems to have a little bit more energy. They play faster, they move it a little bit quicker, and that carries over into more points per possession, even though the head of their snake, the guy bringing it up, is for a high minute player, I think the most inefficient player in the NBA when it comes to shooting. He is a very unique player for that reason, that he steps up with 49% true shooting and the offense gets better. He deserves a lot of credit,
Yeah.
but it is tough to look at it and be like, well, that should be the starting point guard because it's just tough to look at a guy and
Yeah.
say, I think you can just scale this up. And he's played really well in some of the starts and he's been able to create, but I still think you're better off hoping for Emmanuel Quickley to sort some things out rather than Jamal Shed save everything. By the way, Jamal Shed plus Emmanuel Quickley lineups, 89th percentile, almost plus 9 points per possession over 100 possessions. Better on defense and better on offense. So something they also never turn the ball over when they run the 2 point guard lineups. Something to take note of.
Yeah. I think Jamal's like a bit of a enigma. Like he's in terms of like all of the young players, he's exceeded expectations more than any of them. He's pretty much since he's come into the NBA, he's been a totally different player than anyone ever imagined. The 3-point shooting showed itself as a rookie. The defense didn't, and that's sort of evened itself out as a second year player. And he's become someone that you probably want to extend and like keep on this team for the next few seasons as they're trying to build. I think in terms of him being a starter, you think you saw some of the advantages and struggles of why I don't think that actually can happen. I do think he shows you some proof of concept of what you want out of that guard spot, though, because he was able to get to the rim at will and blow by many of the Clippers defenders, in particular in that game. He was able to rack up assists, create easy shots for people around each other, simply because he was actually generating rotations. Why I don't think he actually can be the start of the team is that once he gets to the rim, he isn't much of a threat to score. He has to stop, put up a lot of floaters, try to score over the trees, and that just becomes really challenging. If you have a guard that can't do some of those things at a really high level, it requires you to be the level of shooter that Fred VanVleet's a perfect example. He has never been the greatest finisher at the rim. He's a bit undersized and isn't the most explosive and athletic. But what happened for him? He became one of the best shooters in the NBA while being one of the best defenders at the point of attack. So that sort of balanced itself out as he had some of the organizing skills. Jamal had a great game against the Clippers, but they lose that game because they don't have enough shot making and they go on this 8-minute rut where they cannot score. And those are the ruts where you miss Emmanuel Quickley, where although he may not be organizing the offense how you like or getting to the rim how you like, he might hit 2 or 3 threes that saves you and probably wins you that game. Or late in the game, you're looking for someone that you can drop a play for and hit a perimeter jumper because the Clippers dare the Raptors to hit shots towards the end of the game. They missed, and then James Harden slow walked the dog and beat them every single possession. And that just goes to show the Raptors don't have the perimeter shot making to go up against a team that is continually getting slops and slowing down the game.
Yeah, I think just to hammer this home, the big thing is, and this is what coaches have to do, is they have to ask, like, what's next? What is the natural progression of this? And if you look at Jamal, for example, like he is in the 7th percentile. He never finishes a possession at the rim, and that's when he finishes it. And if he does try to finish it, he's in the bottom 25% of the NBA. It's just really tough for him to finish there. He is in the 99th percentile in passing out of drives to 2-point attempts. And where that used to be at the start of the season when Lewis and I looked at this, the points per chance that he was getting was gargantuan. It was like massive. Since we've seen the trade-off of how teams have adjusted to him, he's actually like, it's more so middle of the pack, the points per chance on that now, rather than being gargantuan. And we're seeing that he has a much higher propensity to take floaters now. And so that's the whole point, is like, if the passes to other players are becoming less efficient and more of the offense is being funneled towards floaters on drives, then not only do you run into he's no longer a change of pace to Emmanuel Quickley, but he also doesn't have that vast 3-point reputation to help bolster other things as well. And Jamal deserves a lot of credit, and he's been so good relative to expectation that he'll just get a really long opportunity to keep working on his game, keep adding things. But again, there's still like a night last night where he's just 1 of 8, and you're just like, damn. I just not shame on Emmanuel, but like it's tough that Emmanuel just has been so ho-hum that this is a conversation where a guy whose true shooting percentage is 49%, people are like, this guy should probably take your job. That's tough.
Yeah, it's extremely tough. For like Jamal, like continue to be a great backup point guard. I think he's been we've already talked about, he's been one of the best in the league. Can't name 10 backup point guards better than this man this season.
No, you can't.
Which is
only
like,
named 4, maybe?
Yeah, that's true. The Ayo Dosunmu, after I said, I was like, I don't know if I actually believe that one.
He's been pretty good.
Yes, he's been awesome.
Yeah.
So, but Jamal has been great. I think what you want from the team is that hopefully Quickley plays better and you get 48 minutes of guys that are kicking ass and winning minutes.
Yeah. Big time. You can't have too many good players. You and I have talked about this for years as we were saying, like, listen, man, competition is good. The competition is good. And then on top of that, the Raptors haven't had enough guys. Like the wheat hasn't been separated from the chaff yet. And that's what you require to start being like a team that isn't just, better than you thought, but is better than everyone thinks and continues getting better and stays good.
Yeah, agreed. Now that the trade deadline is a couple weeks away, which is just insane to me. Again, reports have come out that the Raptors want to do something big, which seems like a annual article about the Raptors. They've always done something kind of big. And the names linked outside of Anthony Davis, who we already discussed, Domantas Sabonis and Ja Morant. It seems like the Raptors want to attach two of their contracts, whether that's Quickley, RJ, and Jakob Poeltl, to acquire one of these guys to really push and try to make a run this season, considering how poor the East is. Why? I guess I'll ask you, why do you think the Raptors think now is the time? And two, what do you think about both of these guys on the team?
I think now is the time in the sense that they really do believe in Scotty Barnes and they believe in him as a certain quality of player. I do think he will be in the All-Star game. And when you have a guy that you think is young, you probably view the floor of his game as like an all-star and you expect him to develop into an all-NBA talent, then that guy, you want to start putting him in a playoff series and you want to start pushing before year 7 comes up and suddenly a guy can leave. And you want to create those memories, that, playoff performances. You want to you want to incentivize things. I think that's clearly what's happening. And they also just want to be a better team because, as you and I have talked about, it's very hard to build from the middle. It's also very hard to build from the bottom. The teams that get to build all the time are the ones that are destinations. They get to build however they want because players will ask out and they'll say, I want to go there, free agency, et cetera, et cetera. And the Raptors, they have to try and win because of who they value on their roster right now and the way they've spent. And if they're only trying to win for like 2 years before they dismantle it again, we'll say, hey, maybe it would have been better to rebuild. But listen, I don't know, hindsight 2020, something like that. Why do you think this year or this package of years?
Yeah, I think similar to you, Scotty has shown that he's going to be a guy that's going to be very impactful in the playoffs and might be able to help you win a series. I think if the season ended today, I would have him as an All-NBA player. He's been too important to their defense. He's been able to be very impactful. He's won a lot of games, much more than a lot of the media thought he was going to. And
quickly,
yes,
media votes on All-NBA, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Media was the highest voter for Scotty in the All-Star returns. Nobody rated Scott. Fans, coaches, players. Media rated Scotty the best, so maybe that's a good indicator.
It's true. We're in a points per game society. His box score hasn't changed outside of the stocks, but the level of player that he's jumped up to it's significantly different, and the win total shows that. And I think you're in a position where the East is probably never going to be this bad again. You can't assume Jason Tatum's going to tear his Achilles again. Maybe the Cavs figure this thing out, and Giannis might shift the power somewhere, going to another team in the East. Things might look drastically different in a year, and maybe one of AD, Ja Morant helps you sneak in and make the NBA Finals simply because you have to beat the Knicks or a Boston team potentially out with Jason Tatum not himself, and that's a massive win for them. So I think it's just a mixture of Scotty belief plus opportunity.
Yeah. I am left to wonder about the Pistons. Right now,
I'm sorry, Detroit.
They're trending as a team that is really, really good. And yet I'm not sold. But, I mean, who's to say with some of this stuff? I got my Boston podcast tomorrow morning where I got to eat some crow, some humble pie. But all this to say, I guess, Sabonis, Ja, do you have a lean where you'd rather they go?
I think surprisingly, I lean Sabonis. I think the fit with both of those guys is super funky. The Raptors are devoid of shooting. But I think with Sabonis, you offer a lot of the same principles that Jakob Poeltl, and obviously Jakob Poeltl is involved in any of these traits. A lot of the things that help the offense move with Sabonis is passing, him being able to run DHOs. He's a great screener. A lot of the positives that Jakob Poeltl offers. And one thing the Raptors don't have within the offense, outside of maybe BI coming off of catches and curls, additional options to score in isolated ways. Scotty, I think, has been great and he's been tremendous, but the stretches where you've asked him to score continuous buckets without a play being scripted has been challenging, and that might not necessarily be his game. I think with Sabonis, you get a lot of that same stuff that you get from Jakob Poeltl. You can throw him the ball in the post and expect and ask for him to score, which might save you a couple buckets and keep you within a run. And then also, like, his contract is very short. You potentially could pair that up with a Malik Monk, for example, and trade something along the lines of like a Quickley and Jakob Poeltl, and still relatively be the same team or slightly better without necessarily killing yourself in terms of the future and in future assets.
So Sabonis, 62 games, 79 games, 82 games, 70 games. He's played 11 this year, obviously. Not a whole ton of basketball. He was out with injury, but if the center of that trade is basically just like Jakob goes out one way, Sabonis comes in another, and there's not too much of a difference, then I think in what's going out, then I think it is worth it, because Sabonis, I think, is far better than Jakob.
Yeah.
And you end up paying for the first year 22 million extra, and then after that, what do you end up paying? Like 15, 16, 17 million extra. The offensive rebounding, the extra creation and screening, I think it makes sense. But when I look at Ja and Sabonis,
It's tough basketball fit.
I don't think I want either of those as the path that the Raptors walk forward. Are you sold on either of? I guess, are you sold on Ja?
I think it would be very exciting. I think I would buy a jersey. I'll start with that. But it's such a bad basketball fit. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, for the same reasons that like Jamal Shead helps some of the offense in like pace, rim scoring, Ja will help significantly. He's a great passer. He gets to the historically he gets to the rim a lot. But the structure of how defenses are going to play the Raptors, I don't think changes whether it's Ja or Jamal Shead, shockingly enough, or Emmanuel Quickley. Teams are going to pack the paint. They're going to expect the Raptors to hit shots, and Ja hasn't shown that he's been able to do so. So changing what the Raptors are, like the good nature, the kumbaya of this team, I don't think makes sense. I kind of want them to try to punch up and win a playoff series. I want the core to show that they deserve to be together, have a chance to actually show that this team is good. I don't think we've seen enough of them in playoff scenarios or winning scenarios to say that, hey, we absolutely need to blow this up or adjust this team to win slightly more games.
The things that obviously concern me about Ja, and not to do too much of the like paternal, I'm concerned about a black guy commentary that sometimes comes up. Like, Ja, I think, is one of the like, you wonder about fitting in and like what that looks like. But the basketball stuff that I look at are the two really big markers. So over his last like 723 pointers he's taken, sub 30%. And the fact that, it starts off as a rookie, 40% of his shots are like within 3 feet at the rim. And that dwindles all the way till now to where it's 22%. It's almost been halved. Almost half, man. And that to me is a bit of insanity. And also, like, the field goal percentage, it's still pretty stable. He's still a pretty good rim finisher, but he is not as torrid in pursuing the rim as he used to be. And also, there is a little bit of like, Vince Carter, you and I both love him, but Ja, despite not being the level of Vince or having his aura as a dunker, did that same bullshit of like, maybe I won't dunk. Why? What is this? What do you not love the sport in dunking? Like, I don't know. I don't trust it, man. I just don't trust it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could be the Blake Griffin effect. He comes back and just starts dunking 3 times a game, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, for as tough as the Emmanuel Quickley experience has been, he, at least within the structure of the offense, makes sense. He has hit a lot of big shots for this team. Defenses still respect him to some degree, and with Ja, I think you're putting on a lot more emphasis on other guys being able to hit shots. And I think the last point I would have is we've seen him in an offense similar to to this in Memphis, the way that Taylor Jenkins ran things. This team is in a crazy pick and roll team as well, and that's how he made his name in the league. Are you going to adjust your offense that has helped others to build around Ja Morant? I think that's also the challenge that I have in throwing him in another system with another team that he didn't ask to come to, in an offense he's already said that he does not want to play in. Just on its face doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. If I can also go to bat for Emmanuel and the Raptors' overall situation with him, he is averaging over 50% inside the arc for the second time in his career. He's just not hitting his jumpers the way he's meant to. He's below 35%. If every year going forward with his flat contract, IQ goes from a guy that they can't get off of to a guy who eventually, maybe year 5, his contract is like in a good spot, a strong spot.
Yeah.
I don't see the reasoning to like hurriedly attach stuff to IQ and be like, we want to get off this contract when he's currently in a big slump. He just isn't performing well. You as an offense have created an offense where he can score inside the arc more efficiently. He's not even shooting well from the free throw line. He's at 79% despite being 85% over his career. He's not shooting well from 3. Why not wait until that stuff comes around, which it should, because it's just shot making. It should come around. The playmaking, I think, is always going to be subpar.
Yeah.
But wait till that stuff comes around, then start saying, hey, Emmanuel Quickley, who wants to trade for him? Because then I think you don't have to pay to get off of the guy who you said, this is the leader. Like, this guy's our guard of the future. I think it's an easier path to walk knowing you're going to make the playoffs with this guy, that you just say, we're going to wait for it to get a little bit better and for the averages to swing back around, and then we'll make our decision, rather than, because it's in a bad spot, man. Like, I'd rather wait.
Tough. Yeah. I remember the press conference and like, man, they're putting a lot of gas on Emmanuel Quickley being a pillar of this team. And I saw tons of posts and threads of like actions that Jokic and Jamal Murray play off each other. They're like, oh, I can't wait to see Quickley run around and do. I don't think that's happened, but I agree. The Raptors are in a good spot. Let's see how it goes. I think they can win a series. It would not shock me if they won a series at all.
That's true. They're in a better spot than they were last year.
Yeah.
And because was Quickley any better last year than he is this year? No. Were the stats a little better? Sure. But like, they're in the same place. RJ is in a stronger position. The only thing that got renewed was whatever the hell happened with the Jakob extension. I don't know, but all right, fine. Yeah. They put themselves behind the 8 ball again. And Brandon's contract. But as far as like the IQ contract, the RJ contract, Scotty's contract, all their rookie deal guys who they get to make, because the basketball's not been great, they get to make probably team-friendly deals on if they choose to do so. It's not terrible, and they're winning. Yeah. I don't know if after this run of games, this West Coast trip, if they'll be a top 4 seed, but they are currently, and they get a shot at it. Before you move the conversation on, though, yes, I do have to say, it's stressful basketball, brother. But your choice of beer, it doesn't have to be. Coors Light delivers mountain cold refreshment. When the mountains turn blue, the beer is as cold and refreshing as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold certified for a smoother finish. Celebrate responsibly. And of course, you must be of legal drinking age. I have a testimonial I have to read from the comment section. Our beloved commenters, viewers, listeners, readers. And it is the top voted comment, by the way, who says, as someone who has never had a Coors Light in my life, you should let them know that your ad reads have me considering picking one up to try next time I'm in a beer store. That's right. You can find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. Trey, take us home, brother.
Oh, I might need a Coors Light after we discuss this. With the Raptors' tough upcoming games, Colin Murray-Boyles, who was tremendous against the Lakers, like he is a shining. We've gotten to a point where like, do we have a star here potentially that can be really impactful? But He was injured midway through the game with a thumb injury, and potentially for the Raptors, I think this might be one of the toughest stretches of the season.
Yep.
Might be without him. Do you think they can survive 3 games without Colin in the lineup?
I don't know. It's tough to look at this upcoming schedule, and I'll read it out. So the Warriors, 10 p.m., the day of this podcast comes out. Kings, the day after that. Are we recording after that Kings game? 10 p.m. and then
I guess so, man. Please win at least.
Oh Lord. And then okay, so to be quick about it, Warriors, Kings, Blazers, Thunder, Knicks, Magic. And then on February 1st, we have the Keontae Bowl, which I can't wait for. But that is like they just lost to the Clippers, they just lost to the Lakers, so they're 0-2 on this difficult run. Warriors, Kings, Blazers, Thunder, Knicks, Magic. The Magic are going to be tough. The Knicks are going to be tough. They haven't beat the Knicks yet, and they actually have been getting trounced by them.
Yes.
The Thunder, I probably not. They're 0-8 against top 10 point differential teams so far this year. The Blazers are 500 now. The Kings, they should win, but Precious Achiuwa has been hooping over there, so I don't know. When you look at that lineup of games and you assume, and there's no guarantee that RJ comes back, there's no guarantee that, Jakob, I mean, I don't know, I'm out to lunch on him. CMB is probably not coming back. How do you concoct wins against these teams? Who's going to meet Precious at the rim?
I'm begging Colin to play. I'm asking the team to wrap up his thumb and try to get him on the floor, because they don't have any means. They don't even have 48 minutes to throw at in terms of bigs, which means maybe you call Mo Bamba one more time. I don't know, but just their injury luck has been horrendous. Bambu, for as great as he has been, can't rebound the ball enough to hang with other bigs, and we saw how that kind of went with Jakob's first stint leaving the lineup. I think you kind of hope that Scotty can hold the fort and you get better shooting performances out of certain guys that are going to play more. Like Jameson is obviously going to play more with CMB missing minutes. Grady, hopefully, yesterday wasn't the greatest, but hopefully he is able. Oh, God. Every time they play a true 7-footer, I'm like, yeah, they can't just do anything that they want. When they play Joel Embiid, I'm like, yeah, this is a real actual center. DeAndre Ayton was actually dominating in the game. It just was insane that the Raptors haven't been able to throw another 7-footer at teams all season, and we're waiting for Jakob Poeltl to play. But hopefully I know Darko said 2 weeks and this would be fine, and I think it's been closer to a month now. It might be a month actually. But
we can go back through it, but I don't think it'll be friendly to Darko or Jakob, and I know those guys have been getting the wrong side of the dialogue for some time. I'll go look at all the games he's missed. But by the way, on screen we have from Aiden, of course, we've had him on the podcast before, but it says, "You must be this tall to enter the paint." It's a picture of Darko looking at DeAndre Ayton, who is, and I don't, listen, if DeAndre hears this, I'm sorry, but as far as big men go, I think he's on the softer side. And he had his way. We were at his mercy.
The Raptors have just had such a tough time against larger guys, and Jakob's injury, I think they've gotten the greatest outcome possible. Colin has shown that he can play as a big against certain lineups, and him and Scotty can be somewhat tenable. But his injury, I think, has the ability to turn this season into you punched up and we're a 4 seed to now you're looking at can we avoid the play-in? It's actually, I know he's not the best player on the team. RJ's injury has been very tough. So is Jakob's. But in terms of where they're at and how they've been playing, you're a drastically different team with CMB off the floor. We saw that against the Lakers. The defense fell off immediately.
And CMB actually turned it around to be a positive player in the net rating stuff, which is meaningful from where he came from and just the way that the team was constructed. It matters a lot. By the way, December 18th, Jakob does not play against Milwaukee. On December 21st, he comes back to play 6 minutes against the Nets. 6 minutes, and then that's it. So today we're recording on January 19th. The Raptors have gotten 6 minutes of basketball out of Jakob Poeltl. He wasn't at the last home game, by the way. He wasn't there against the Clippers. He probably went ahead because he was in LA. I don't know if you have to be responsible saying this stuff. Why was Jakob ahead? I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't see Alex McKechnie at the Clippers game either. I don't know. But and the fact that when Blake asked, like, hey, any update on Jakob? And Darko was like, mm-mm. So 6 minutes of basketball in a month.
Yeah. It's been a challenge. CMB, I'm begging. Please play. We need you.
So Michael Grange reported that Colin Murray-Boyle's x-rays were negative and he has been diagnosed with a thumb contusion, not a sprain. So hell yeah. He can sure he can play. But I'll ask you before we get out of here. I mean, would a Mo Bamba return? Do you think that actually moves the needle? Personally, I don't.
My view, I haven't watched as many 905 games or G League games as our good friend S. Fandiar has, but him slamming into somebody on a pick and roll has changed my total view on even giving him a chance. I had the fact that I was even like, let's see these Bamba minutes. I've heard he's changed, and it going bad immediately. I don't even want to see it for another second.
First impressions are important.
It is. I think it would have to be a trade. You're really close to the deadline anyways. If you know Colin is out for 5 games, you have to make a trade and get a living body in there.
There have been teams asking about Ochai. You can see why two things could be true, that the Raptors don't think he's a part of their future and why teams would still be interested in calling on him. But it was like that report that there's however many teams have trades lined up that they're not going to pull the trigger on until they see what Giannis decides to do, I guess. And that's probably a couple of those, I would assume, are the Bucks maybe saying, like, if Giannis doesn't ask out and he wants to make a run at the rest of the season with us, we'll be doing this to try and add. One of those guys could be Ochai Baji. I suggested the beverage trade of Ochai for Amir Coffee, but that would get the Raptors under the tax, by the way. And I just talked to Blake. He was we watched the Lakers game together last night, and he was saying, God bless him, he said that because of waiving Dame, that they had to sign Turner into cap space, that the Bucks actually have like $14 million of wiggle room that they could take on. So they're actually a very adaptable trade partner. So if the Raptors were like gonna punt on Ochai, for example, and just to get under the tax, the Bucks would actually be like an excellent team to do that and have someone come back where, I mean, I don't know what their aspirations are for a return on Ochai or if they're just like, we don't want to pay the tax, but there's a possibility there. Thank you to Blake for knowing so much more about that stuff than I do.
Yeah, the Cap Man, best ever. I think
Cap Man.
The Cap Man. I think that's a podcast. Any final words for you, my friend?
I don't think so. Apparently, we're going to be doing streeters for Coors Light. I saw this. Right. We're going to be out in the streets talking about Coors Light, I guess. I'd look for that to come, everybody. Just got an email. And what else? Oh, God bless.
All right. Last words for me. Kyle Tucker, I hate you with a passion. I will never forgive you. I was a Bo Bichette re-sign guy, but the fact that we waited and got left at the altar for a 3rd time in a row is insane. But
always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Well, contact over everything. So,
I had a friend, Benjamin Serwata. I knew him from Saskatoon. He messaged me out of the blue, and he says, "Bro, I have so many hot takes relating to basketball and no one to share them with. Ha 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 ha." I said, gimme. And then he just has this paragraph about how, like, it's bullshit that Kawhi left. He won the championship. Why would a guy leave? and extrapolated that into like, why is Canada viewed this way? It's true. Like, why? What the hell, man? And especially for baseball, it's a summer sport in Toronto. Get real, dude. You suck, dude.
Yeah.
Kyle, sucker.
It's all right, man. We're gonna finish the story. We're gonna win the World Series, and we're gonna be laughing at him a year from now. But
he also said that at the recreational level in Canada and US, pickleball is going to overtake basketball in the next 20 years, if not sooner. And then I responded and said fascism. It's fascist, dude. And you're no longer implicated in pickleball. It's fascist.
That is true. That is true. You just see it, man. Nobody plays outside anymore.
It breaks
but
my
you'll
heart,
you'll see Eugene right at the net playing every Sunday with his friends. It's a good sport.
People do be playing pickleball, man. They play the hell out of pickleball. I see people, they put on their Instagram story, they're like, I just played pickleball for 3 hours. Here's my fitness screenshot. I'm like, 3 hours of pickleball? What the hell?
Delete.
What's the longest pickleball game you ever played?
I probably played for like 3 hours as well. Like usually, like me and my lovely wife, we go Saturdays. We'll probably play from like 10 a.m. to maybe 1 sometimes, just like playing back and forth. And then you'll just see some older couple coming along like, you guys play? And I'm like,
you're the Grim Reaper, dude. You're the Grim Reaper of pickleball.
and then my wife, will she be like, just take it easy, please. Don't make this a thing. She'll just like whisper to me. I'm like, he's done for.
It's Kevin Durant. When he's on Twitter, there's no chill. I'm full tilt until I'm off this thing. You're like, Happy Gilmore, the movie. You know how Ben Stiller's character is just like terrorizing the people in the old folks' home? That's you on the pickleball court. You're like, you're in my world, Grandma.
You've done for, man. Greatness has to carry me at all times, like Jaylen Brown says.
Are you the Caleb Williams of the sport of pickleball?
Yesterday was crazy. I think I'm a little electric when it comes to I can get to some shots that the older fellas can't. It'll be off the court. I'm just like, he's like, wow.
Wingspan.
All right. I don't have a catchphrase ready. Like, comment, subscribe. 47 minutes in. Yikes. But I will work on that. If you like co-host Trey or hosting Trey, let us know in the comments. And I will see you guys later.